Today we're going to get into Chapter 3 in QuickBooks, where we're going to continue to get used to the program. We're going to go through and do some maintenance things. We're going to go through processing information, and we're going to show you some internal controls within QuickBooks that can protect us from making mistakes. So we're going to get into rock castle construction here in Chapter 3. You can see an introduction on page 2. Start to get into rock castle on page 3. And on the bottom of page 3 there, we're going to go into our customer center. So if you remember, customers will be everybody that we sell our product to, listing of their information and any balances that they have. So click customers on our home page. And you can see that open balance is listed here. They default to alphabetical order. You see starting with the A's here. If we want to sort this and see it by who owes us the most money, we could come here to the balance total box and just double click it. So just double click the column heading and you see now it organizes it by who owes us the most money. Just as we have there on page 4 of the textbook. So we want to find customer Heather Campbell, and you can see she's the second one on our list here. So if I click on her name, you can see all her information on the right side of the screen. If I want to go in and edit any of that information again, I can hit the little pencil here, or I can double click on her name in the customer center list here. And that'll open up, and we can change any of that information about her if any of that changes. So you can see the first, the address, name, email information, payment settings if we have any specific credit terms, her credit card information, credit limit, if we only let people purchase a certain amount from us. Sales tax, once again, would have her sales tax jurisdiction that we need to collect, so we can make sure that that automatically flows through to the invoices and sales receipts. Then additional info, customer type. If we have specific contract numbers, birthday, spouse's name, you can enter stuff in like that, and then you got something to talk about when you give them a call. Under rep here, we're going to add in a sales rep on the bottom of 3.6. You see we don't have any, so we'll just click Add New. And why don't you just type in yourself as the sales rep. So I'll type in me, and we'll just do it as a quick add so we don't have to add a ton of information. Just say that I'm an employee. So we could use that if we pay by commission. We have salesmen, and those salesmen have regular customers that they get help our tracking for those commissions. Hit OK, and you see there your initials should show up in the box. If we hit OK, it'll close. If I double clicked and went back into her name, you see it automatically goes back to the first tab, the address and info, even though that's not where we left off. On the bottom of 7 and top of 8, we're going to create a new customer account. So of course, as we're doing business, we're going to get new customers all of the time. So I'm going to come up here to the new customer and job box, and we could select new customer. I could always right click anywhere within the customer names on the left side here, and we could go to new customer. So once again, like I was bringing up back in the Chapter 2 tutorial, there's going to be multiple ways to do things within QuickBooks. Whatever is easier for you to remember. So we'll select new customer, and we're going to add the customer wooden nursery there in the box on page 8. Now what we add in the very top here is what's going to show up in our customer center. So I would recommend you keep the same formatting that you do with the rest of the names. Keep consistent. If you're using a person's name, I would use last name, first name format, so Olson, Dustin. for tracking those things. And we can just fill in all of their information. Once I enter in the address in the bottom left corner, if I just hit copy, and it'll copy over that to the shipping address here, or if we had a different shipping address, we could go in and set that up so we have a drop-down box and have multiple options. If you know, say they have a warehouse where it goes that's different from their billing address and their office location. So once we have the first tab filled in, we can go down to payment settings there. Looks like we're going to have credit terms and a credit limit of 30,000 bucks. So we'll put that in, and QuickBooks will give us a warning if we try to sell more than that. Credit terms, 210 net 30. Remember, that's a 2% discount if they pay within 10 days. The whole bill's due within 30. They're going to be a commercial customer. Their sales tax, we'll change it from St. Thomas to East Bayshore / County. And under additional info, we'll select that they're a commercial customer. So we got all of those tabs filled in with what we need. You can see pictures of that on 10 and 11 as well to make sure you have things filled in accordingly. On the bottom of page 11, we're going to start talking about deleting an account. So let's find customer Ecker Designs within our customer center here. Let's see, right up here. So we got Ecker Designs, and we got two jobs underneath them, an office repair and an office expansion. So if we right-clicked Ecker Designs here, let's say we wanted to delete them. Maybe they're not a customer anymore. And we clicked Delete Customer Job. Well, you see we run into a problem, as we have in the picture there on the top of page 12. QuickBooks cannot delete this because it's got a balance or used in a transaction. So you never want to delete anything out of QuickBooks that's got accounting information tied to it. This could be in the customer center, the vendor center, employee center, anywhere. Because we don't want to screw up our past financial statements and things we've already filed our taxes on. Okay, let's see. We want to find Cars Pie Shop. So let's scroll down a little further. Go down to Cars Pie Shop and the remodel. Right click and try to delete them. Once again, it's going to say we can't do that. So even though they don't have a balance, you see we have accounting work done for them in the past. So we can't delete somebody that has a balance or somebody that we've done any accounting transaction with. If we're not using them anymore, you know, if they're not purchasing anything from us anymore and we just don't want to see them in our list, we could right click and we could go to Make Customer Inactive. There you see they're gone. The only way we can delete a customer is if we have nothing tied to their account accounting wise. So I'm going to sort things by name here. And go find Wooden Nursery. You guys see where I'm going here? Here's a dirty trick that the book likes to pull, but right-click Wooden Nursery and select Delete. You see now it's going to let us do it. And it's just asking, are you sure you want to do that? So as long as they have no accounting information there, we can delete the account. So I'm going to make it up to you. If you don't want to, undo all that work you just did, you can certainly leave them there. Look at that, they're gone. Goodbye, Wooden Nursery. So we'll close out on that and go back to our home page. Page 13, we're going to talk about processing information tasks. And we're going to do some playing around in the Create Invoices window. So we've got a few different ways to open up the Create Invoices window. We can do it from our home page here. We can select Create Invoices in about the left lower middle of the page here. We can go up here under Customers to create invoices. We can do it from the Customer Center, or we could use the shortcut Control-I. Any way will get us where we want to go here. So we're just going to play around a little bit with the Create Invoices window again, like we did last time. Once again, just to get in the habit of moving around and doing things within QuickBooks. So we're going to go to Babcock's Music Shop. So I can go in the drop-down box and slide down to it, or I can start typing them in, and you see they filled in. And we're going to click the remodel from page 14. And we can move from the customer job box in the upper left by just hitting Tab. In the date, we want to change it to December 20th. You can just type it in, hit Tab, or we could hit the calendar, go select that date. See, our terms are net 15, so our due date changed based on that adjustment. In the ship to, we could select the drop-down box, select our ship to address, the only one that we have, and then that gets filled in. We change the terms to net 30. See, our due date changes. Down here on the item side, we can enter in what we're going to sell them. So we want to type in, nope, not lighting, light pine cabinets. So here I'll just scroll up and see under cabinets, we've got the heading for light pine. You see when we put them in, the $17.99 price automatically fills in. If I change the quantity to 4, see it does the math for us. It applies the sales tax down here based on the sales tax jurisdiction and gives us the full amount of the invoice. Type in framing labor, and then 8 hours. You see it automatically does the math. The rate here is just what automatically plugs in that we've set up. You see we've got a drop-down box with a few different options. So we could change it from our base rate to our commercial rate, and you can see it'll adjust the math on that for us. And any of this stuff here is changeable. We could go up here and change the date. We can change the items, which you see it asks you to do on page 15. You can play with that all on your own. then I'm just going to hit save and close what we have here. Deleting or voiding a transaction. Here on page 16. So we talked a little bit about deleting a customer. Do we want to delete a transaction? Say if we made a mistake in an invoice that we did. So we want to find invoice 1093 for Lou Plumbing. So I'm going to click Customers on our home page, and we're going to go back to our Customer Center. And we'll scroll down here to Lou Plumbing. And you can see when I click on their name, over on the right side here, invoice 1093 is the only one that shows up with them for this year. So I could just double click on the invoice name there, or number, and now that invoice pops up. So if I wanted to get rid of this, I could right click and I could go to delete invoice, or I could go to void invoice. Now I'd say if we delete it, that means all record that it ever happened is gone. So kind of like for the reason that we talked about before, I'd be in the camp of, rather than deleting, to void the invoice, so at least we have some record as to what happened previously. So we click void invoice, and you see the balance now goes down to 0. So it just takes the same thing, the same invoice, and shows that we don't, or they don't owe us any money anymore. Hit save and close, and you see now that invoice shows up with a 0 balance here. On page 17, you can find another invoice, invoice 1089, and you can practice doing that again if you so choose. On the bottom of page 17, top of 18, we're going to practice using the quick add. So we showed you how to create a customer in the customer center here, by right-clicking in new, and we could set up a whole customer from scratch. We had all the blank windows that we could type into. We can also do this from the invoice or sales receipt windows. So I'm going to close out of this and go back to my home page. And I'm just going to open up a blank sales receipt here. And we're going to make a sale to Abbott Nursery on page 18. So I'm just going to start typing in Abbott Nursery up here in the customer job. And you see nothing's coming up when I'm typing them in. So they must not be a customer that I have. So once I hit tab, then it says, yeah, hey, they're not on your list. What are we going to do about that? So if you click Setup, you're going to fully have to go to the Customer Center window there and type in all their information. If maybe you don't have that information available, or you just want to get this invoice done and plug that in later, we can use the Quick Add. So we can click Quick Add, and we've created them as a customer. And we can fill out the rest of the sales receipt. But you see under sold to, we have no address and information because we didn't type any of that in. So we can type in an invoice or a date. Oh, let's see, check number. It must have paid with a check. And we're going to sell them wood door exterior. So under items here, we can type in wood door. If I select the drop-down box, I can choose between exterior or interior. Type in the quantity of 3, tab, and once again it does the math for us. And we're going to change the sales tax to East Bay Shore County. And now our total sales receipt should match the number from page 18. we'll hit save and close. And if we wanted the sales tax to be set up for them like that in the future, we just click yes there. Now we're going to look at some internal controls that QuickBooks has on the bottom of 19 going forward. So we're going to open up an invoice and we're going to select Chris Baker. And we'll select his job of family room. And we're going to select the wood door interior. Once again, as you see, as we type in the quantity, it does the automatic math for us, saving us a lot of work like we had to do in the practice set. So what other things can QuickBooks do to stop us from making mistakes? Well, let's take out Chris Baker here. Let's say the name was blank. And I hit save and new. See, it's not letting me save an invoice to nobody. What if under the quantity I accidentally typed in an H and made that mistake? I was going too fast. It's going to say, hey, you can't do that. There's got to be a number there. We can't sell them H quantity, and it's not going to let me move on until I fix it. What if the date I accidentally said it was December 35th and made a typo? See, it's going to say, you got to fix that. That does not exist. So QuickBooks has some tools in place to keep us from making really silly mistakes. Let's change our item down here to door frame. Says we only have 6 available and I just tried to sell 8. Then we got a problem there. Now maybe we actually do have the quantity of that item to be able to sell it. We physically have that. So either two things are off here. It's possible that our QuickBooks is off and we don't have in here that we purchased that inventory. So we need to correct that. Or we're entering in and trying to make a sale of stuff that we can't deliver. So then we'd have to go out and we'd have to obtain more of that product. So we'd have to catch what the mistake is. So once again, internal control. Now it's going to let me sell that. So it gives me the warning, but it's not going to stop me from being able to do that. But my inventory would show up with a -2 if I tried to make this sale. And the last thing, Chapter 3, is setting a password. So each of your assignments are going to have a password tied to them. It's basically just going to be the chapter of the assignment. So our Chapter 3 assignment password is going to be Chapter 3. Chapter 4 assignment password is going to be Chapter 4. And that'll always be on the top of the Excel question sheet that I give you. Okay, well there's a little quick intro into Chapter 3. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thanks.